Recovery starts right now. And here to help is Rated R for Recovery.
Calling all you angels.
What happened? Check 1, 2.
You waved your hand.
It just dropped out.
Yeah.
All right. Hi, everybody. Hi, Jeff. Well, welcome to Rated R for Recovery at ratedrforrecovery.com. That's Rated R, the number 4, recovery.com. We're a recovery-based, faith-driven program bringing hope, healing, and restoration to individuals and families impacted by addiction. We do this through interviews,
Yeah.
sharing information,
Uh-huh.
mildly entertaining,
We try to be.
and we strive to be a catalyst for change for all who wish to recover. It is a serious thing. We just, if we don't have some fun doing this, it's no purpose in doing it.
That's right.
All right? I'm an addict and alcoholic. My name's John.
Hey, John. I'm an alcoholic. My name is Joy.
Hi, Joy. So welcome to the program, everybody. This portion of the show is brought to you by JCI Solutions Painting Contractors. Yes, you heard it right. Painting contractors for your home, for your office, commercial, residential painting. You can reach Michael at 239-672-2673, as well as Brian Edwards, attorney at law.
He's our friend.
Does anybody ever have any experience where you needed a credible lawyer? Just ask.
Not for me, but, for a friend.
He's helped me. And Brian can be reached. You can check our website. There's links to all these sponsors on our website, not website. And Brian can be reached at 239-791-9463. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, please
welcome.
I think I'm Oriental. Oh, you're not supposed to say Oriental except when you're talking about rugs.
Or me.
Okay, all right. All right, let's welcome Lance to the show, everybody. Thank you. Lance, you seem to be a crowd favorite.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Yeah, talking to the mic. Lance.
Gotcha.
All right. So Lance, as you see, ladies and gentlemen, as you see here, a young, strapping young man, but it wasn't always the case, was it?
No, it definitely was not.
And what was your drug of choice?
Alcohol, cocaine, benzos, hallucinogens, you name it.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything, but mainly alcohol, cocaine.
And crack.
Yeah, we went down that
Well,
road for a while.
we smoked the crack,
Sure
didn't we?
did.
We smoked the crack. Now listen, hey, Lance, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you were like?
Well, my sober date's March 24th, 2023. What it was like, it's a long, drawn-out process. It was brutal. It started out, innocent. Started dabbling in alcohol, weed when I was like 12, 13, and just kind of slowly.
What'd you say your sobriety date was? Say that again.
March 24th, 2023.
2020. So you've got a little bit over 2 years of sobriety.
Yes, sir.
Good for you. Good for you. And so we start in with me and lots of people in my generation. I know
That would be me.
I'm in my 30s, but I'm not. We started by stealing booze from our parents and drinking out in the neighborhood and raising hell and stuff like that. How'd you start?
That's exactly how I started. I started stealing J&B bourbon from my parents' liquor cabinet and started mixing it with Coke and walking to school with a drink when I was like in junior high.
Really?
Not every day, but that's how it started.
Yeah. And you went to school with it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I would drink it before I walked in, but that's how it started, though.
We would mix all different kinds of alcohol and then take a can of high-C grape juice. Now, back then, they didn't have electric can openers. You opened it with a can opener, and that's we swigged it that way. All right, so let's get back to you. This is not about me. So, how did this progress?
It was a slow progression, honestly. But to be honest, it didn't really start getting out of hand until I went to college. In high school, I was pretty, normal, just smoked weed, did acid a couple times, but really good kid for the most part.
Yeah.
Good
grades?
Yeah, good grades. But, parents started getting divorced, multiple divorces on both sides, built a lot of resentment and anger. And so I stopped kind of caring what my parents thought about me anymore.
Really?
So that's when I just kind of went off the rails.
So was that, when you get down to it, they say, and I don't know who they are, but they say that drugs and alcohol are merely a symptom of a greater problem, and the problem is me. I don't have a drinking problem, I have a thinking problem. Did you develop a lot of resentments against mom and dad?
Of course.
Yeah.
And all the step parents along the way.
Oh, and all that's right. Multiple step parents. How did this affect you in your isolation or abandonment, running away, stuff like that.
You know, like I said, I went to college and just went off the rails. Got into a fraternity, did cocaine for the first time in the fraternity house when I was 18, and after that, everything changed after that first night. And then ecstasy the next night, and then it just steamrolled.
Did you go
after
to
that.
class at all?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I actually ended up graduating 5.5 years later. I took the long route. I didn't want to leave. It was a pretty fun experience.
I had to leave.
But no, it literally went off the rails really quick. I ended up getting arrested about 1.5 years in, you know, for stupid stuff related to drugs and alcohol. And my parents actually ended up picking me up from school and taking me back. I grew up in Padre Island, Texas, which is South Texas and the Texas Gulf Coast, down by the border. And so I ended up going back home and, you know, went to rehab first time. It was like in 93.
Really?
Yeah. And then, you know, got out, got a job as a bartender on the beach and just kept
Of
going.
course.
Okay, so back up a second. You went to rehab for the first time in 1993 because you wanted to go?
No, my parents forced me to go.
Okay, that's why you became a bartender.
How did they do that? Were you living at home?
No, I was in college and then I had to go home because I got
Yep.
in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, they
So-
asked me to not come back until I was more serious.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I went to rehab, you know, finished college, actually, and then started bartending on the beach and, like, selling drugs and just kind of acting like a maniac on the beach as always, you know?
And,
And
go ahead.
it just kind of spiraled, to be honest. And then, you know, I had a college degree, wasn't really doing anything with it, and then all my friends were, they're like, we're moving to San Diego. Because I surfed my whole life. I grew up on the beach my whole life, and surfing was everything. So we all just moved to California together, and we were living in Pacific Beach, like a block from the beach, and things went awry really quick. It was quite the experience. Yeah,
Did you ever see the movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High? Just checking.
like
Yeah,
1,000
yeah.
times.
Yeah, I figured, okay. All right, so,
Hey,
all right, so
bud.
you live on the beach in Southern California. I have lived on or near the beach in Southern California, lived different lifestyle. When I moved there, and I got to stop talking about me. So what happened after you moved there?
I should have never moved there, to be honest. When
Yeah,
I
me
moved there,
neither.
I knew I was going there to kind of go off the rails. I was like in that zone. I was, you know, 26, 27 years old, and you know, like I was just ready to go. Like,
Yeah.
nothing, I was 10 feet tall and bulletproof because I'd gotten away with so much at that point. So I really didn't think consequences like affected me, and I could do whatever I wanted.
And this
Turn
is what
on,
time- go
tune
ahead,
in,
Joy.
drop out.
Yes, right. What years was this?
98,
Yeah.
early 2000s.
All right. Big hair music, the whiskey, the Roxy downtown.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
you got Mexico right south, which is where I ended up.
Okay.
I ended up down in Mexico pretty much all the time.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you do that little trend. Where do you go from there?
I mean, like I said, things went awry. I mean, I was completely off the rails. I really should have been going to rehab, but I ended up just moving to Mexico.
You only go to rehab when you're done, though. The only time I would, because as much as, no, Joy saying no.
Or if you don't have anywhere to stay.
Oh, good point. Very good point, Joe. Yeah, Joy, because I used to go to detox just so I could have sleep and get something to eat.
Get something to eat.
Good point. And so now you're still working when you're out there, yes?
I mean, yeah. I mean, a little bit here and there, you know, but usually illegal activity, a lot of illegal activity too.
What was your next step when you left there?
Well, what happened was, I mean, I completely went off the rails and ended up becoming an IV drug user for a while. And I pretty much moved to Rosarito Beach, which is south of Tijuana. And I was down there for months just surfing, partying, and kind of acting like a maniac. And then would always end up in Tijuana, you know. And so I ended up in a Tijuana jail. Ended up meeting some people I probably should have never met. And things got really crazy from there.
And
you
they
know.
saw a blonde-haired
Oh.
surfer, and they saw a walking buddy. Right, Pedro? Where's Pedro? Right there, walking, that's what they saw. And they knew what to do with you.
Oh yeah, things got kind of
Just
crazy.
saying, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, I ended up in federal prison for smuggling illegal aliens across the border.
Instead of dope, you brought people?
I was doing both, but that
Okay,
day they got
just
me with
checking.
that.
All right.
Yeah. So,
Like, this is fascinating, though, and for the listeners at home and for the listeners here in the studio audience, were you were doing this on a regular basis, or did you do it one time and get
no, I
caught?
moved to Mexico.
I know, I heard that.
I was doing it full time.
Oh,
There was nothing else going on.
so you would charge
I was
people to take them
literally-
across the border,
I
that
was
thing?
working with, it was Ariano Felix group at that time in Tijuana. So that's some of the people I met in jail. And that's how it all started. And I just got mixed up with the wrong people, John. You know,
Oh, I
things went really
understand
bad.
it's not, I know it's not something that you believe to be true today and the way of life today, but the compelling stories of how bad it got
Yeah.
can really touch people. And when we say we went off the rails, we want to know how you went off the rails, because you never know when there's somebody out there that said, yeah, I did that. How did you get out of there? And how did you get out?
I mean,
Well, you went to jail.
I went to jail for 2 years.
In prison in Mexico.
While I got arrested at the San Ysidro border, trying to come across the border, and it was a federal crime.
So they took you to the United States jail, thank God.
Yep, I ended up in a detention facility, a federal detention facility in downtown San Diego for months. Ended up in San Bernardino, ended up in Oklahoma. I mean, I flew out of there. Ended up in Yazoo City, Mississippi.
Well,
Actually.
all nice areas if you're not behind bars, by the way. Okay, yeah, so,
I mean, it was. I paid the price for, thinking I was 10 feet tall and bulletproof. It all caught up to me.
okay, so you get
As it
released
does.
when?
It was 2004. It was about 21 years ago when all this happened, but I got released in 2004 and moved to Atlanta, with my family for a while.
And yet still that wasn't enough.
Yeah, well, I mean, the fact that, I had a college education from Texas A&M, I'm smuggling illegal aliens and drugs across the border. I mean, that's a problem.
That a boy? Okay. So you will go to Atlanta, you stay with your family, you meet your
Yeah,
mom
I
and your
tried to
dad?
just get reset, I tried to get reset. I was 30 years old, and, I thought I'd figure things out.
How did that work?
Ended up meeting some girl, and then she's like, hey, I'm moving to Florida. You want to come with me? This girl I was working with, and I'm like, I barely know you, but why not?
There's a
So,
beach.
That's what I did. I was just rolling the dice on a lot of things. That was the best thing I ever did, though.
Some beach. Somewhere.
Yeah.
So,
pretty much.
so you come here, and that's,
So I
you say
came
that's,
here,
that's
yeah.
the best thing you ever did.
Yeah, because.
But isn't it true that you ended up at Pine Manor?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I ended
me
up
too.
I ended up all over the place. Even though I went to jail, I still didn't stop. I wasn't done.
Yeah, I know.
I was far from done.
Okay.
And for those at home, Pine Manor is called Crime Manor in this neck of the woods.
It's not an
Oh,
upscale
okay.
neighborhood, to say the least, ladies and gentlemen. And anyway, so go ahead.
At that time, I was attracted to all the sea areas of whatever town I was in,
Yeah.
pretty much, because I had to get what I needed to get to feel different.
Okay.
Because I didn't like the way I felt sober ever.
All right. So this pattern continues. You come to Florida with this girl, and that lasts.
I literally, I was here a week, and I met another girl
Oh,
who happens to be my wife today.
Really?
Yeah.
So how long ago was that?
2005.
Really?
Oh.
And so were you both kind of doing this together then?
Not at all.
Oh.
Not at all.
it works better if only one is off the
I feel
rails.
like a lot of people trying to kind of run from your past and trying to start fresh, and I did really well for a while. I managed my drinking for a while, and honestly, I knew I was a drug addict, but it was really hard for me to accept the fact that I was an alcoholic, because I was that guy that I can't go to a football game and have a beer. I can't go to a Mexican food restaurant and have a margarita. Like, that's how I would look at it, and it was just an impossible
Didn't we
feat.
all?
It was impossible. There was no way I was going to be able to live like that.
Yeah. It's no fun to live like that, is it? Actually, it is.
Well, it's no fun if you don't have some kind of program, some kind of support system.
And in my family, nobody was in recovery. Everybody was normal drinkers, successful, normal people. And I was the guy that had no willpower, and I was stigmatized by my family really bad.
So when you met your wife and then you kind of maintained for a while, did the drugs and alcohol drive a wedge between you eventually?
No, we drank together, and eventually, after my dad died in 2009, I digressed badly, and I went right back into the hard stuff, and alcohol was always there. It's a precursor to everything for me, alcohol was just there. But I could always put alcohol down. I didn't have to drink every single thing in the fridge before I went to sleep. I didn't,
Well, no, not if you had something else.
Right. So, I always convinced myself that, I have a little drug problem, but I'm not an alcoholic.
When was the point when you had enough?
When you keep going to jail and keep...
Oh, that
going to
wasn't
kid-
the end then.
Oh,
You went to
no,
jail
like I
here?
said, of course.
Of course.
Yes.
Only drug addicts and alcoholics say, when you say, have you been to jail, they look and go, yeah, of
Of
course.
course.
The funny part is, all of it, as soon as I stopped drinking, I stopped going to jail, and I stopped using drugs. That was the key. I had to stop drinking. And that was the thing that I had the hardest part. I could not stop drinking because it was part of my life since I was a child. I didn't know how to, I don't even know how you function without alcohol.
My friend Dean says if you don't want to get a DUI, don't drink and drive.
Ugh.
It's just like, oh, really?
Yeah.
So, all right, so give us to the point where you were done.
So,
Give me
you know,
the bottom.
more jail time, more stupid, dumb crimes, all related to drugs and alcohol. I got fired from a job in 2013 after being there 7 years due to my drug and alcohol use. And that was like a turning point. Like, I had like this spiritual experience that happened to me on October 9th, 2013. I'll never forget the day. Yeah, it was crazy. Like, I woke up, like, my life was in shambles, you know? And I was really good at hiding it, you know? And I don't even think my wife knew.
Obviously not that good, they fired
Well, I
you.
was good at hiding until I wasn't.
Yeah.
Like, you know. And yeah, I had this one morning I woke up and like God spoke to me. And he was like, dude, you better, if you don't go to church right now, you're going to end up in jail or dead today. Like, that's what was told to me, and it like resonated. It wasn't like my subconscious talking to me. Like, I truly believe God spoke to me.
Okay.
And I jumped up out of bed, and my hair was standing up in my arms, and I drove to the closest church, Estero, Methodist Church in Estero. And I just walked in there on a Wednesday at 10 a.m., and this old lady came up to me, she's like, you need to speak to somebody? And I was like, yes, ma'am, I do. It's just, sorry, it's like an emotional part, but man, it was like this preacher came over, and he started talking to me, and I just like confessed to this dude for like an hour, and I just told him everything. He's like, dude, you need to hook up with our drummer in the band here at the church because he's gone through the same thing you've gone through. And that guy was my sponsor for a long time.
Wow.
And I started going to AA, and that's when everything started to change.
Is that the church that had the AA meetings
Yeah.
3 times a week?
Yeah. Yep. And so that's when the change started happening.
Joy and I have had friends that have spoke. That's the same church that we go and see people speak.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right, so now that's 2013.
Yep.
However, you say your sobriety date is what year?
2023.
What happened?
I mean, honestly, I had 7 years at one point. I had 7 years clean. You know, I thought I had it all wrapped up. You know, I was working in the behavioral health field. Everything was, you know, I thought I had everything tight, but, you know, I had some stuff come up within my family that caused a lot of stress, and I didn't handle it well. And I drank for a couple months and hit it until I couldn't, you know.
Okay, so just so that we can all, first of all, relapse doesn't have to be part of recovery, as some of us can attest to, not me. Relapse is often part of recovery. Me, two drastic times, once in, I don't remember what years, but anyway, it doesn't matter. My sobriety date is March 27, 2021. And I know that when I can look back and see the fact that was I calling my sponsor, well, let's start from the beginning. I wasn't praying. I wasn't reading. I wasn't calling. I wasn't being active in a program of recovery, service work, home group, business meeting, all that kind of stuff.
But you were going around going to meetings and stuff, right?
Maybe just here and, yeah, well, in the last part, no, in the last part. Yeah, the part where I lied, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, that part. Well,
That-
and just like Lance said, you know, he tried to hide it until he couldn't.
Yeah, and I did the same thing, and until you just go, oh my God, I can't do this any longer. Yeah. So is that your experience? What I wanted to do is you usually, and I might say this too much, if you take a bunch of addicts, alcoholics that have been in recovery, that have relapsed, the usually is I stop doing those things. Was that your experience?
Pretty much. I was just, you know, I was just tired of looking at my family, and everybody looked at me. I just felt like I was broken. I was beat, you know, and the fact that my family's told me my whole life that I have no willpower, and that's the whole problem. It's a willpower issue. It wasn't about addiction. There was no education around
Right.
anything because nobody in my family understood it.
Yeah, but if willpower alone was enough for me, I would have stopped a long time
Yeah,
ago.
and
But
that's
that's how I got pigeonholed with the family because they just didn't understand the disease.
Yeah,
you know?
okay. So, all right, so what'd you do?
So, like, after I, you know, relapsed, 2 years ago, I mean, I thank God I had just a lot of friends around me that, you know, were like, dude, something's up with you. Like, what's going on? I, you know, denied it for about 24 hours when I got called out on it. But then, you know, came to and was like, I got honest. I started going to meetings right away. I didn't need to go to treatment, thank God. But I immediately just started diving back into recovery, like, head first.
Well, and what's life like now that you've got these 2 years?
Oh man, life is just, I'm so grateful. Like, this community here is just so amazing. I have so many amazing people around me, like Heidi and Jens, Eileen. It's like, being in that environment, being around people that are sober, that want to improve their life, not act like an idiot. Like, I chose to hang around idiots my whole life, and just maniacs. And it's like, I didn't like get serious about life till I moved here. Like, it was a joke to me. And it just took me getting serious, diving into AA, just praying every day, and following instructions, and stop taking control over everything like I always did. That's when things changed.
Very good. Joy, did you?
Yeah, just the part about taking control like I always did. And, we talk about that a lot here, about the 3 most dangerous words in recovery are, I've got this. I got it now. Oh, thanks.
Jesus. Okay. Give Lance a nice round of applause. So this month we have a partnership with Kimmy's Recovery Zone. And when we come back, we're going to have what we're going to call for right now, until we find a better kind of title for it, Kimmy's Corner. So we're going to have Al and Heidi, and we're going to be talking to the members of the people that run the Lee County Homeless Coalition. And that will be right after these messages from our sponsors. You're listening to Rated R for Recovery, ratedrforrecovery.com.
Struggling with life's challenges?
Wonderful.
At The Next Step, we're here to guide you to a brighter tomorrow. Whether it's counseling, recovery support, or simply finding hope, we provide the tools and community to help you rise. Take the first step toward healing today. Visit thenextstep.org and discover how we can support your journey to wellness. Remember, every step forward is a step toward a better you. The Next Step, your path to hope, starts here. With offices in Fort Myers and Naples, 844-639-8371.
Have you been charged with a crime? You could face serious penalties for conviction, and it is vitally important that you have skilled legal assistance on your side during this time. Call Brian L. Edwards, Esquire, Attorney at Law today. 888-512-6254. Results matter. With a track record of success, our methods are tried and true. Mistakes happen, but we can help. Brian L. Edwards, Esquire, Attorney at Law. Visit FortMyersCriminalLawFirm.com or call 888-512-6254.
Not everyone has the luck of the Irish. If a friend or family member is in trouble, call Shamrock Bail Bonds. Put our number into your phone, 239-332-2245, 239-332-2245, or go online at gobailmeout.com. Shamrock Bail Bonds provides fast, reliable service. Shamrock Bail Bonds, 1528 Broadway, downtown Fort Myers. Look for the Shamrock, and maybe luck will be on your side.
Hello, I'm Michael Manzi, owner of JCI Solutions, 239-672-2673. When starting this company 3 years ago, I had no clue that we would grow to what we have become. There is one thing I can say that we have done from the beginning is take pride in our work, making sure every customer we do work for is satisfied from beginning to end. Offering residential painting all the way to commercial painting with jobs done in a timely manner, with highly skilled professionals giving you top-of-the-line work. To help you create your new look, call JCI Solutions, 239-672-2673.
Struggling with addiction? You're not alone. At Phoenix House Project, we believe in second chances and brighter tomorrows. Our proven programs offer support, hope, and tools to rebuild your life. With expert care and a community that understands, transformation starts here. It's time to rise, reclaim your life, and become the best version of yourself. Visit phoenixhouseproject.squarespace.com today or call 239-244-7876. The journey to recovery begins with sober living. Phoenix House Project, where hope takes flight.
Kimmy's Recovery Zone, where hope meets action. We're here to guide the journey from treatment to thriving, healthy living. With peer support, public education, and vital resources like housing, employment, and Narcan training, we're building stronger communities. Ready to make an impact? Together, we're creating a network of recovery, resilience, and renewed lives. Kimmy's Recovery Zone, your hub for healing and hope. Visit us online today at kimmysrecoveryzone.org. It's not how we survive, it's how we thrive.
Join us for connection, encouragement, and real transformation. At Celebrate Recovery at Grace Church, we celebrate God's healing power through the 12 steps of recovery and the life-changing principles found in the Beatitudes. Whether you're overcoming a hurt, habit, or hang-up, Celebrate Recovery offers a safe and supportive community where you can grow, heal, and thrive. Add to your recovery because you're not alone, and healing is possible. Monday, Wednesday, Friday at one of the 3 Grace Church locations. Learn more at egracechurch.com/recovery.
When children have to play inside so they don't disappear.
Welcome back to Rated R for Recovery.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to Kimmy's Kimmy's Corner here at Rated R for Recovery. That's Rated R, the number 4, recovery.com. I'm an addict and alcoholic. My name's John. My co-host Joy down at the end of the table.
Hey.
And we're going to welcome for the first time, hopefully every Thursday night from this point on, Kimmy's Corner with Al and Heidi from Kimmy's Recovery Zone. Now, for our friend that's listening in Saskatchewan, who really is listening from Saskatchewan, because a lot of times I kind of embellish stuff.
You like Australia.
So yes, that was one of them. Jim Loverot is listening from Australia. Want to say hi to Jim? Hi, Jim.
Hey, Jim.
And we love to have Jim here. So Jim might be asking, what is Kimmy's Recovery Zone? And other people here and listening online might be asking what Kimmy's Recovery Zone is. So would one of you please tell us what Kimmy's Recovery Zone is?
Hey everybody, I'm Heidi. I'm the CEO from Kimmy's Recovery Zone.
Hey, Heidi.
Hey. So Kimmy's Recovery Zone is a recovery community organization. We help people with mental health and substance use disorder to find recovery and to sustain their recovery. It's about multiple pathways. There's no one way. It is, we will meet somebody wherever they're at with it. We have different programs there. We also have a food pantry. And Kimmy's Recovery Zone is named after Kimmy Kinkle, who is the daughter of Al Kinkle, who is sitting to my right. Al is our founder and the president of Kimmy's Recovery Zone, and he can tell you a little bit more. Go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having us here tonight. Yes, Kimmy is my daughter, and Kimmy had a mental health and substance use disorder, and our experience together with Kimmy, myself, and the family was about a 20 years addiction problem. And again, like I say, it started out mental health and then led into addiction, and it was a 20-year process that we went through. And then after 20 years, she went into recovery. It was 2 years clean, coming home, and the night before she came home, she did a drug, and in the drug, she was poisoned by fentanyl.
Wow.
So we lost Kimmy in 2015, and since then, we started Kimmy's Recovery Zone and Kimmy's Angels, which is at Galisanos Children's Hospital, and Kimmy's Angels is a fund for kids with cancer, and we started that fund also right after Kimmy passed away. And then Kimmy's Zone, Heidi and I, and Lance, who was just up here, I think, great speaker, Lance.
Yeah.
Good job, thank you. Yeah, and Eileen and all. So we have a lot of the people here that originally started, the founders, I like to say, of Kimmy's Recovery Zone. So we have a lot of time invested in that for the community. We love our community, and we want to see the community be all it can be. And we are on the cusp of greatness right now.
Unity in the community, right, Al? Unity in the community.
Yes, unity in the community.
Bringing recovery together in all aspects of it.
That's right.
We also want to let everybody know that Michael Overway from the Lee County Homeless Coalition is with us today. Michael. So I'm going to let you talk to Michael a little bit, find out a little bit about him.
Thank you. Michael, it's a pleasure to have you here. We know each other well.
Yep, we do, brother.
Good to see you. But anyway, Michael probably has one of the biggest jobs in the 3 counties that he represents. And the Homeless Coalition is a mighty, mighty big job. Kimmy's Recovery Zone has a big part that we play in that, and Michael helps us be part of that so that we can make a difference in the community. You know, one of the biggest deals we have is homelessness, and it's just in all of our hearts and souls, we want to see that change, and Michael's making sure that he's going to make a change, and hopefully together we can do it better together. But anyway, Michael, what is the mission of the Homeless Coalition?
Well,
Give a few words on that?
Sure. So the coalition, just by its definition, is a congregation of members, right? And our responsibility is to serve those members, serve our partner agencies by going out and securing some funding, by helping to increase the agency's capacities through trainings, and then also to provide some of the direct services we provide. And then, of course, we do a lot of advocacy work, both at the local, state, and the federal level with our representatives on legislation that comes down from, particularly Tallahassee, but I think we're going to see some legislation coming out of Washington this year. And so, our coalition is prepared. We formed an advocacy committee that does nothing but monitor legislation today.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. And so tell us a little bit about you and what led you to work with the Homeless Coalition.
Well, how long do we have, John? I forgot. Is this about an
2
hour
minutes.
hour and a half? Okay, 2 minutes. I'd been working in corporate America for about 20 years and just really didn't enjoy it. I had been volunteering with another homeless coalition in a different county, and the CEO walked by one day and said, "Hey, would you like a job?" And I'm like, I think it's time for a change. John talked about change in his life, or Lance, talked about change in his life, and it was just a moment. And I said, yeah, let's try something different. And so I started working there, and at the end of the first week, I went in and met with the CEO, and I said, hey, I took this job, but we never talked about salary for the position. and the CEO said, salary? Have you never worked in a not-for-profit before? And I'm like, no. And so anyway, that became a whole career path. I was with that coalition for about 8 years before I broke off and started my own consulting company and was serving the communities of Collier. It was serving 11 different counties at that time and had a very successful, still do today, consulting company. But Collier and Lee counties happened to be a couple of my clients close by, and so I was working with them pretty intensely. But there was a point in that my wife and I have 7 children, and 3 of them have gone through recovery. One of them today, who was actually offered a contract by the St. Louis Blues to play professional hockey when he graduated high school a number of years ago, he was in an accident, destroyed his feet, he could no longer skate. And so he got addicted to painkillers, and then from painkillers, when that wasn't enough, street drugs, and when that wasn't enough, to putting his hands on his mother and I, and stealing from his siblings. And so even today, now this has been 15 years later, he's still cycling in and out of jails today in recovery. But I'm happy to say that the other couple of our boys went through recovery. One of them has been clean and sober now 4 years, one 5 years, and we celebrate that with them all the time. They truly are amazing young men, and they're really dedicated to their families and dedicated to their recovery. So,
Let me ask you something. So
Yep.
Is there anything that the local community, all right, so at this location where we are right now, there's a great number of homeless people in this run area. What's the different words we can encourage people to do, or how can I say, this is a number you should call, or this is what you should do? What do we do with those people?
Yeah, so, that's a great question, John. Homelessness in the last few years has really changed very dynamically. Prior to the pandemic, most of the folks that we would say were experiencing homelessness were probably chronically homeless. They'd been on the street for a number of years. Through their own self-admittance would say that they had had a mental health and or substance use disorder of some sort. and they were the majority population that we would serve. Along comes the pandemic, and that begins to remodel who's experiencing homelessness in Southwest Florida. And today, those folks who are chronically homeless only make up about 7% of the total population experiencing homelessness. We have a lot of newly homeless individuals, folks that we would say are situationally homeless. So the high rent rates, in Southwest Florida has been a huge burden. Lack of steady employment, low wages have all contributed into that. And so, what we try to do when we get out and work not only with our community partners, but with our clients is, number one, we hope we can bring a little hope, right? That there's a future, that there's a different future ahead. And the other is we really work with our clients to try and get them connected to, services. So, housing is the only thing that ends homelessness.
Yeah.
But treatment services sustains that housing, right? And so we need to make sure that our clients, once they move from street to seat in the house, are then supported. And so we try to bring those services along through our community relationships, our partnerships with folks like Kimmy's, and others. And we have, in Southwest Florida today, there is a core of not-for-profits doing phenomenal work here. It would be wonderful to see them better funded.
If I come to you and I'm homeless, will I have a place to stay today?
No, probably not. First of all, in Lee County particularly, we lost our shelter, which was the Bob Janes shelter, the empowerment shelter. So that went under.
I just want to jump in because this is very important. We have a brand new women's shelter that opened up on Martin Luther King Boulevard in Fort Myers, Florida. That was started by St. Matthew's House. It's got an abnormal amount of beds. It's just a wonderful place. They're doing great things there. And that it is a women's shelter. It's for women and children, actually.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask of children.
Yeah. So in St. Matthew's House, they've been in Collier County for several decades providing those services. And again, we partner with them in Collier and here in Lee. But again, when you look at the transition point from the Empowerment Center, losing those beds has caused a stutter step in how we've been able to deliver services very quickly to folks experiencing homelessness. Folks like Major Frizzell at the Salvation Army has tried to open up more beds, and they're building out a new facility, of course, in the future here. But again, we just don't have enough supportive beds today.
Thanks, Mike. Hey, can you link in how mental health and substance use disorder plays a part in homelessness?
Well, sure. Again, when every year the Department of HUD says, and I don't often like to start answers that way, HUD says, right? But the Department of HUD says that we're required to do what's an annual homeless point in time count. It's meant to be kind of a snapshot of who's experiencing homelessness in our community. And so we send teams out onto the streets, and they survey for a couple of days in all the counties that we represent. And what we find is, on average, and again, these are people who are willing to self-admit that 68% of the folks that we survey say that they have a persistent mental health and substance use disorder, right? And when you ask the next question, how did you get there? A lot of times it will be, I was, became disenfranchised from family. I lost my employment. I began to self-medicate, in the camps. And again, the one thing that we've really tried to impress upon our teams and the coalition partners is a no judgment zone, right? Like we're not here to judge folks, we're here to end their homelessness. And so our goal really is to move them again from the streets into housing very quickly, and then again, try to bring wraparound services to them. But it has been a challenge for sure.
Yeah, and people may feel that, if you have a mental health issue, why would you stop taking your medication? But actually, medication is one of the first things that goes when you only have a certain amount of money. You're going to eat before you're going to be able to buy your medications. And then once that's gone, then, kind of all bets are off.
Well, yeah, Joey, a lot of people will say, well, why can't they just get into housing, or why can't they, part of what we see with the folks that we get to serve that are experiencing homelessness is that, they're in a day-to-day crisis mode. They've got to manage that crisis, right? So it takes a lot of energy to manage that day-to-day event of where am I going to be safe and secure? How am I going to eat today? What things do I need to get accomplished? So there's a lot that goes into that day-to-day activity. And for people, for agencies who don't understand that, to step in and say, well, we're just going to end your homelessness and have a nice day, they don't realize that most folks experiencing homelessness have a PTSD from that, right? And they take that into housing. And so unless we work alongside of our clients to help mitigate that, they're going to combat that day in and day out, even in housing.
Yeah, the first fear that I would have if I had been homeless, and where am I going to stay? Where am I going to sleep? What am I going to do? Where am I going to eat? And somebody gives me a place to stay. How long am I going to get to stay here? When are they going to make me leave?
Yeah, it's, and again, some of the significant increases that we're seeing today in homelessness are really two major subpopulations. One are senior citizens and the other are single parents. Again, that's why St. Matthew's House, as John alluded, made that move up here, is to try and step in and help. But there are so many, our street outreach workers in Collier, for example, we've got over 160 single parents living in their cars right now that we're trying to work with, right, to get into some form of housing or shelter.
I see, as I drive around Lee County, I'm only talking about Lee County because I'm not really going anywhere else, and there's these tremendous monstrosities being built everywhere. Are there that many people coming here? I don't know if the corner, this is my best example, the corner of Hancock Bridge Parkway and 41 in North Fort Myers, people that are in this studio know that corner. There's a Perkins restaurant there. Behind that Perkins restaurant, there is this monstrosity of buildings being put up. And I'm wondering, is there that many people coming here that are occupying these places?
Yeah, so the influx, I think the last statistic I saw for the state of Florida is that there's 900 new people a day moving into the state of Florida, right? So they got to go somewhere, right? And the east coast of Florida has been a very heavy population zone for a long time. And so a lot of those folks migrate this way. And in order to get them to stay here, municipalities and counties have to build structures that those people want to stay in, right?
Well, I'm going to a different point. At one point, we have a park across the street here called Lions Park. And the police were trying to, in fact, a friend of Joy's and I is head of the homeless police task force, whatever they call it. And they were pulling these people out of their tents and putting them in the Holiday Inn until they could find some sort of housing for them. Some of them benefit from it, some of them abused it, just like anything. But since they're building all these monstrosities, can't we have government subsidized housing to get these people not a hand out, but a hand up?
Yeah.
We used to have a thing called the LIFT program here.
Yeah, so I think, one of the things that we've worked with, and again, I'll speak back to Lee County, but, the Lee County Commission has approved over 2,000 affordable housing units to be built here in the community. They're very, very active. They're more so than most other counties that I work with. We have the mayor of Fort Myers, Kevin Anderson, who has been very proactive in addressing homelessness in our community. He gives us a forum, as does Senator John Martin. He gives us a frequent forum to meet with him and talk about the issues at hand with homelessness in Lee County. But the problem is that we started a little too late, right? So we should have been building affordable housing 5-6 years ago when we knew that this wave of homelessness was going to be entering. And we advised the counties back in 2019 that you need to start now, otherwise we're going to be seeing this tsunami of folks experiencing homelessness. And when I said that at a podium at a Collier County Commission meeting, they laughed at me. They said, tsunami, that's nothing. Now today, they can't even build fast enough right down there. And they don't want to, by the way, which is a whole nother topic. Again, Lee County, very proactive, looking to, get as much resource. The folks over at Lee County received that HUD funding, which was about $1.1 billion after Hurricane Ian. And so far, they've turned about $500 million of that into new affordable housing development. So they're pushing it forward as fast as they can. And the nice part about it is when we're talking about affordable, somebody's got to define it, right?
And we're talking local. But, and Florida has its unique issues, but most other communities after the pandemic have seen a rise in homelessness. And also, just if you look at the storms across the country, there are people being displaced all over.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think, so the problem is, and I think the homeless systems of care have to take this as well. We are at fault for not being better planners, right? We're great reactors, but we don't often plan very well. And so those are some of the things that we're trying to change at the coalition and with our coalition partners, is how do we begin much more proactively looking down the road to prepare for natural disasters or economic disasters.
Yeah, and that's the human condition, to react,
Yep.
not so much to be proactive.
Well, you know, homelessness, I think everybody realizes that. I mean, that's the biggest problem in my world and in most people's world, and especially in our governments. And Lee County has really come up over the last 10 years big time. So we're all working together.
Good.
The coalition's working. I'm working with Mike and the coalition and Heidi and I, and we're really trying to make a difference. But if we want to look at it, we spent 3 to 4 of my last years in the camps, basically, and I seen it up close, you know. And these are great, wonderful people, you know, that just got something happen and they wound up in these camps. And living in those camps, and some of them have been in there for 10 years, some of them, their kids are living in there and now are growing up, and that's how long it's been going on. But the problem is huge, and we're trying to figure out what are the answers. Well, some of the answers are services that we don't have, insurance, you know, that would be a big plus, and also buildings to house people. So it's a huge problem. Mike's got probably one of the biggest problems that we face today, just for our humans that walk this earth. We don't want them to be unhoused, and too many of are unhoused. And I look for Mike and the whole coalition group and people in here to help us figure it out. We have a success, Mike and I and Heidi and all of us working together. That success stands right there. Right? Is that you? Yeah. Say hi. John, you know this.
Pedro.
John, okay. All right. They called me over to the Veterans office, I guess, one afternoon, and I went over there with one of the staff. And when I went over there, I met that young man. You were quite different then. I think you were 1/3 the size you are now.
Pedro, you want to come up?
Come on, Pedro. Yeah. Why don't you tell him, Pedro? There you go. Okay. All right, John knows him.
Me and John definitely got quite a history. I met Al by definitely divine intervention. I had recently gotten out of the county. If you were here to hear my testimony before, I recently got out of the county and I got hooked back on fentanyl. I was living in hotels, so yeah, I mean, I was homeless, in and out of hotels, and after 3 months of it, I was done. I was beat up, and I went to detox. I think I stayed an extra 3 days. They kicked me out of detox because I overstayed my welcome, and I came out of detox with money in my pocket, and I had 2 choices. I said, I'm either going to get high today and die, or I'm going to go find some help. And again, divine intervention. So for some reason, I just walked to downtown Fort Myers. Normally, I walk to downtown Fort Myers to go to the bar, but I didn't. I walked to downtown Fort Myers, and I saw the building, Human and Veteran Services. I know that building because a woman who worked in there, I won't say her name, she brought classes into Lee County Jail that I attended. So automatically, when I saw that building, I said, I know she works there. Let me knock on that door. I knocked on the door. Someone from the Homeless Coalition answered the door. Again, I couldn't tell you who. I wasn't high, but I was still coming off some boxing, so I don't remember the residual effects from using. But I knocked on the door. They came, and I said, listen, I need help. I'm not under the influence, but I'm an addict, and I'm going to die today. I don't know how many people they called, but Al was one of them. I never met Al. I don't know him from anywhere. Never even heard of Kimmy's Recovery. Al came in, he talked to me, he spoke with me, and he said, what do you want to do? I said, I want help. And he said, do you know anything about St. Matthew's House? I said, no, I don't know anything about it, but I'm in. I need help. I'm going to die. And it was the most awkward ride to Naples, to his house. Yeah, I don't remember who it was. Who was it that drove me there? It was one of your friends or employees or something like that. It was a pretty awkward ride because I was a mess. He took me to St. Matthew's house, and I maintained that sobriety date. My sobriety date is July 7th, 2023.
Nice.
So this is how I know that you call it your higher power, you call it God, divine intervention. From the lady who worked and brought classes to Lee County Jail, to the Homeless Coalition, to Al, I have almost going on 2 years of recovery. I work for St. Matthew's House as an intern. I got a little caseload as a case management. I'm going for my NCPRSS. I take it this Thursday. Pray to God I pass. But from 2 years ago, a little over, almost 2 years ago to where I'm at now, I would never have imagined where I'd be. John knows more than anybody. This young man right here also knows. I was a beast out there on the streets. But I tell you what, I'm still a beast today. I just changed my appetite.
Nice. Yeah.
I keep that hunger. So Al, from the bottom of my heart, man, I thank you because you planted the seed for where I'm at today. My family thanks you. My son, who I have back in my life, who I'm going to see this weekend, he thanks you. I mean, you planted the seed for all this restoration, and you have no idea. I just saw you today, and I had to come up to you because I don't know if you remember me. You said you did.
Yeah,
but man, again, man, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Right.
Thank you very much.
And thanks for touching on veterans and homelessness too in all of our talk.
Very good.
Yeah.
Pedro is just one of many miracles that is part of what happens.
Yeah.
And I love Pedro. He was a part of my life we used together. And I don't know if you know this, but he lived in my house. No. He was the one responsible for the bullet holes in the living room wall.
Yeah, John had his
That's
own.
allegedly responsible for the bullet holes.
John had his own Sober Valley Ranch.
Al, in lieu of time, do you want to close out with Michael here? Is there anything left to say?
Yeah, well, just the fact that for who's here and who's listening, I think we all realize and pray that we will do something with homelessness, and hopefully within this year, we're going to come up. I know I'm working on a plan, but Mike's a better writer, and Heidi's the brains of the outfit. So
That's true.
We're coming up with some kind of solutions. We have a great coalition that we're working with, and I think together, hopefully we'll come up with something that the city council and the mayors and everybody will bite into that apple that we're going to show them. And I think we do have some good answers, but we got to get them off the street. It's not fair to anybody. It's not fair to the people that are out unhoused. We've got to get them in houses and nice and warm and can't stand to see them out there.
Yeah.
Like I said, we spent a lot of time hiding in those camps the last 3 months.
And so if you have a passion for helping and you're not in this community, but you have some questions, this is a really great example to start.
Yeah.
Sal. Okay, so Mike, I have 2 quick questions for you. One is, what message do you have for someone who wants help but doesn't know where to start?
Well, first of all, call Al, call Heidi, call Kimmy's, call the Homeless Coalition, call Centerstone, call Fort Myers Hot Team, call HVS, call us. We're here. We want to help. The most amazing thing is when somebody comes up and says, I'm done, I'm ready, and things can happen quickly.
Yes.
Right? And we want to be able to facilitate that. So, you can call our offices at 239-322-6600 here, or in Collier, 239-263-9363. And, our folks will work to get you connected to either a sheltering program or to a recovery program, whatever that looks like. That's we're here to serve the folks that are experiencing homelessness. That's our mission, right?
Beautiful. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you would like the listeners to know?
Well, first of all, I have to say really quickly, my first experience with Al was actually at a Homeless Service Day event that we do here in Lee County every year, right? And so this gentleman comes up and he says, I'm done, right? I want to go. And my board president and I are standing there having a conversation, and we just look at each other like, you're done with what? Like, what do you want to do here? And the guy said, I've been using too long. I'm done. I got to do something different. And I look across the way and I see this guy standing there having a conversation. I think at the Goodwill table is where we actually met. But anyway, so I walk over and I said, hey, sir, would you be willing to have a conversation with this guy? I mean, I had heard their program, but I had never met him. And then I just stood back and watched Al Kinkle in action. And what a beautiful thing that was. You know, that guy got scooped up right away. He got delivered into services, so I would just say that people are here, right? We don't do this because these are hugely, financially rewarding jobs. We do this because we love people, right? We love people. That's why we do this job. And, that has to be the very core of what we get to do is first and foremost, love folks and then love on them.
All right.
One last thing, just so you know, so I don't take all the credit because I don't deserve it, but Heidi was the one that said to me, see that guy over there? You.
Well, Heidi's everybody's eyes.
Yeah.
She's everyone's eyes.
Right.
We got him.
So just for you, Michael, we're going to do something. We're changing things a little bit around here, and we're going to go right to. What do you want to do?
He needs
everybody, ladies and gentlemen. He likes to stay in the sides, but this is Matt. Matt is our tech guy. So there you go. That's just what he wanted to do. And he thought I would know how to do that by doing this. This was his logo.
I did.
So this gentleman up on stage, for everybody that's here, is a national recording artist, just off his tour that included places of the Far East, right? Was that Lehigh? I'm just kidding. Well, no, tell us a little bit about where you've been playing. All right, we got to wait for his mic to come up. Hold on. We got you. Just keep talking, and
I've been living in Florida for about 20 years. I'm a New Yorker, but I'm originally from Chicago. Part of a project called Sing Under Fashion. So
There we go.
I'm gonna do some toned down versions of songs from my first and second record.
Very good.
All right.
And you're going to play some songs off those records.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, national recording artist Michael Pinckney.
First one's called Advocate for Espionage, off my first album, Gray Area.
When is a good time to talk to you? When is a good time to talk to you? When I see your face, it causes such a disturbance. When I hear your heart start to ravage, hold no substance. Blow out my candle to make yours burn longer. blow out my candle. Well, made it through summer. Through summer, when I see your face, it causes such a disturbance. And I hear those hearts start to ravel. Oh, no substance. Blow out my candle to make yours burn longer. Blow out my candle. Well, I made it through summer.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a nice round of applause for Michael. Michael, would you do let us know how we can download your music or get your music, and then do one more song for us?
Absolutely. You can find it on any digital platform: Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube.
Very good. Can you do another song for us?
Absolutely.
The conditions, realigning all alchemy for this rendition of innovation of double-edged entities. I take fallacy digital as analytical. So go ahead. International, as analytical. So go ahead and do it. Good music or nothing. Prove it.
culture, it remains all goes. The last 75ers wake up all you've ever known. But you can cut it, you can cut it, you can cut it, you can cut it. You can cut it. Digital, all original. So go ahead, try it. Historical, you're about to fall. So go ahead and lose it. You take on nothing. Lose it. Lose it, yeah. Lose it. Lose it, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the original sounds of Michael Pinckney. Thank you, Michael. We want to thank all our guests. Kimmy's Corner is going to be a weekly thing. Again, we're going to refine this, make it so you can tell your friends and share it. We're going to do all that technical stuff that needs to be done. But let's have a nice round of applause for Al and Heidi. And for Michael from the Lee County Homeless Coalition. Thank you, Michael. So make sure you join us next week. We have another great show for you as I turn